Me revoilà. Here I am again. Another Sunday evening here. At the end of the week, like most often, is a time when I feel ready to speak with you again about what has happened in my life, which seems to me to be of significance beyond my personal interests. A few days ago, I happened to stumble on a video showing how two people on a big urban area, metro train, suburban train, had managed to get the full little crowd inside one portion of the train to get singing together. And do you know what they were singing? They had brought even with them those two people, one of them the guitar, but the other one had some copies of the lyrics for one very famous song from a long ago movie, The Wizard of Oz. And when I heard it being sung gradually by practically all the people in that train, the melody stayed with me. And I remembered the title, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So I looked it up on the internet. And I discovered that it was the main song from The Wizard of Oz, and that it was this lady, since long out of this world, Judy Garland, who was singing it as a teenager, and the main actress playing the main role in that story. I didn't even really know the story, but actually as a disciple of Sherbindo and the Mother, I had read long ago the comments by the Mother about that film. The Mother was very aware of the power of that new medium of expression, that new artistic medium that cinema was, the film, together with the music, the dialogues, the kind of immersive quality it gives to any story that it tells. And at the ashram, after the 1950s, the Mother liked to play on the playground, where also some of the sport activities were happening once a week or something like that, when she had discovered a film of the needed quality. There would be a showing of that film to all the inmates interested to come. And one time, her selection was that film, The Wizard of Oz. I will look up again what exactly her comments were about that specific film. The only thing I remembered these last days was that she mentioned the fact that the ruby slippers, the red slippers, that are very important in the film, as they turn out to be the means that the young Dorothy had on her very feet, which would have enabled her to go back home into the physical world and her dear Kansas and her family there. And Mother said, well, that film, there is some occult knowledge there, because indeed the shoes are symbolically the physical envelope that we wear when we are in our physical body to operate fully in the Earth's context. And so that in that film, they would have exactly that symbol. And of the correct color, the red color, which indicates the physical on the occult level. This was quite a correct detail. And its use as a symbol in the film was revealing that there was some inner knowledge somewhere on the part of the people who made the film. That is all that, for the time being, I remember that the Mother explained. Anyway, I had never seen that film before myself. And when I heard that first song that Dorothy sings, when faced with a bit too much troubles, with their little dog particularly, who is threatened from being killed because he had the bad idea of biting. A bad-tempered lady among their neighbors. And the auntie and the uncle who are taking care of Dorothy have no time at that moment to listen to her and to understand why she feels so threatened. And the auntie tells her to go to a place where she will not go into trouble. And so poor Dorothy just leaves the spot and goes into the barn with her little dog, wondering where she can find a place where there is no trouble. And this is where that song comes to her. Somewhere over the rainbow. I will try in the description of this video to put a link to that scene in the film itself, where Judy Garland herself as Dorothy is singing that song so beautifully. I was absolutely astonished, amazed to hear her sing. And by the quality of those lyrics, which moved me so much. So I spent the rest of my afternoon documenting myself about the history of that film, of that story, of the book which had preceded the movie, which had been so incredibly popular. And then that film specifically became even more popular than the book, not immediately, but over the years it has become a film that some people have been watching every year as a family. And that song seems to be in the heart of so many people. I'm not sure if in France people were rich, whether there was a French version of that specific film. I will be speaking here of more films which I've seen in my youth and which have been important even for my inner life. But I'm glad to start today with this film. That film was in 1939. From that year also was Gone with the Wind. One film I have seen and appreciated a lot, but which depicts more the surface life of human beings, the passions, the craziness of life, and the utter emptiness in the end, it would seem, as the title itself indicates, Gone with the Wind. That says it all. Well, the little film I am presenting to you today is not of the same kind. It has this intimate feeling and this soul quest, distinct flavor. Although it is put in, one would say, childish words. Still, let's not be mistaken. His song was inspired. And among the documents which I found during my afternoon of research, more and more in depth, in documents of the time, I have found the description of how that song actually was created. Beautifully. Pure inspiration. So films as this video itself, and the very existence of YouTube is a very powerful medium, because it does capture the whole attention of the viewer, who is also listening. There can be music, like in the case not only of most films, with practically every film, you have a composer who has to create music to accompany the film, because the music will help create in the viewer the emotions corresponding to the various moments and situations in the story. And then, in many films also, you have songs. We have films which are musicals, in that sense that very often the actors start singing in the middle of a scene, or etc. The songs themselves are part of the telling of the story and add that dimension, not just in the form of background music, accompanying music, but as direct expression from one of the characters in the story. And mind you, song and dance are expressions for the human being absolutely anywhere on the planet, absolutely everywhere. People have created songs in their own language, songs on all kinds of reasons. And dances. This is part of the expression of the human soul and also of its body, of its vitality, of its thoughts. Our whole being can participate in the creation and the expression of our songs. So, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, sung by Judy Garland. For that film, The Wizard of Oz, I entered my life. I have my own songs, which my soul at first, after 75, started expressing because of its relationship with the divine. And after only a few more years, it was my body too. Who started singing its own song. So for sure, in some of the future videos, some of these songs will come up. But for the time being, I will be glad if today with me, you listen or listen again to that song, which is the expression of another soul. And has so much beauty to it that now generations of people have loved that song and don't tire to listen to it again and again. The sound itself is extremely important for our entire nature and for our body, because matter as such has something to do with sound. Vibrations of all kinds forms the physical world, forms the more subtle world. The physical world is a kind of condensation in more solid form of vibrations. Sound somewhere is part of the creation of everything. The word, the sound of the word, not just the meaning, but the sound itself, by its very vibratory frequency, is indicative, is expressing a certain vibration of being. So we are speaking now not just of little superficial childish things. When we are speaking of song, where words are allied with a melody to express a certain feeling, not just abstractions, but songs almost always express strong feelings of some kind. This is a kind of language of its own. This is why even songs from another culture, another country, can affect and move even people who may not understand the language. But will be able to receive something of the inner state conveyed through the song. Spirituality, or the longing for those other dimensions of reality, which our soul remembers, but the more superficial parts of our nature, when we are embodied on earth, do not remember anymore. This longing for this half forgotten home that we actually come from. This is one of the strongest emotions that we may have to express in some way while we are on earth. Now I will leave you with that song to listen to directly. I will end with that magical sound. That in a way says it all. Mm-hmm. Oh.